We're not just there to pick up the phone and say, hey, you need to buy this package. We're there to understand the business, understand why you're looking for a new hosting provider, and make sure you don't fall down the same pitfalls again as to why you're moving providers. So you want to understand the why. Why did your business do what it does? How does it work? How are your clients hosted currently? What do you do for them to truly customize the setup for you? And that ultimately means that you get the best value and pay the best price for the setup because you get exactly what you need.
Hey, agency owners, Cory Miller here, Chief Evangelist at hosting.com. And today I want to introduce you to someone you need to know, Olly Feldman, our head of global sales. Now, this isn't a sales pitch. This is about partnership. You're going to hear that all the way through it and the humans behind it. Because when we say we care about agencies, we mean it. And Olly is proof. He spent over a decade plus walking alongside agencies, from micro agencies to enterprise teams, partnering with them to be their trusted advisor and partner. He's not just leading a global team across time zone. He's in it with you. He's managed servers, supported agencies with clients that have tons of traffic, which you'll hear about, and helped agencies craft the holy grail of agency work: monthly recurring revenue and retainers that are the foundation of agency revenue and health. From WordCamps to agency hackers, Olly shows up in the community, not because he has to, but because he wants to. In this conversation, you'll hear his story, his approach, how we're building an accounts team that's not just here to save you money and help you with the right setup. We are, but also about being that key partner and showing up for you in your agency. This is the hosting.com aim. Humans who know you and your world, who listen, who help, are there to show up to just support you and to help you go far. So let's dive in. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to hosting.com, our YouTube channel where we talk about agency work. And today I've got one of my colleagues, my teammates, and most importantly, my partners at hosting.com that works with agencies. I've got Olly Feldman, head of global sales at hosting.com. We're just going to jam about everything we know about agencies and tell you how we want to work with you in the process. But first, Olly, welcome. This has been months in the making. I knew the first time I met you on one of our meetings, I was like, we're going to be best friends. We're going to be BFFs, whether you like it or not, because you talk agencies. And then I quickly go, oh, wow, my twin over in Britain. But as far as passion, not from experience, you've got some deep experience, and I want to dig into that. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise, our first conversation was very much, it clicked, and it's like, we both think the same things. We both really want to work closely and help agencies, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we share that common passion there for those business owners and entrepreneurs, and you've got so much here to share. So I want to dive into your story. Now, I know previous to hosting.com, you were with Nimbus and led an awesome team, and you've got a very distinguished career. You've done almost all of it. I'm like someone that leads our sales team that also knows how to manage the server and all that in between, and then knows agencies intimately. Could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, of course. So I've been in hosting for 10 years in a sales and account management role and sales leadership role. Prior to that, I was at a SaaS startup where I did a bit of customer support, account management, and also looked after the servers themselves, which led me to getting into the hosting industry. I first started in the hosting industry with Secura Cloud. That was a Hertfordshire-based hosting company where we focused on high-end agencies, so like your enterprise agency, and on large brands such as McDonald's. So we had some fantastic clients there, and the real focus was absolute top-notch service and delivering what they needed to be delivered ultimately. So I was there, went through the ranks at that company, first sort of hosting business I worked in. After that, I then moved on to Nimbus Hosting. So Nimbus as a brand was focused purely on digital agencies. So when I joined Nimbus as an account manager many years ago now, I was brought in to help our agencies move from cPanel onto our own dedicated hosting platform that we had built from the ground up for agencies. So we knew that agencies were our people, and we knew that we wanted to work with them and help them to succeed online in an even better way than they were currently. So we worked with a lot of our clients to build a custom platform specifically for their needs, ultimately, to just make hosting as simple as possible and allow them to make money. So my job there was moving all the clients onto that platform and working with them over many years, and then moving on to hosting.com. where we want to be doing the same thing. We want to be making sure the agency life is easy and that we are a partner and trusted advisor to these clients.
That's why I see, if you're all hearing that, that's what I heard first. Like all of that came out when we first met. And I was like, this is going to be great because now, the work we do on this team is talking to agency owners, providing content for them, sometimes coaching, sometimes helping, sometimes just being a listening ear.
Yeah.
And to be able to say, hey, we have a great team. If you want to save money, make money, all those things right here in the team that you lead. Okay, there's a lot in that, but what I heard first, that really piqued my interest is like maintaining servers. You don't, when you're helping sell something, or help a partner come online with a new product or whatever it is, you've been there and done that, and that's remarkable to me because I think a lot of people might in this kind of industry and these kind of conversations come from pure sales, and sales is probably a misnomer, I almost think, because the way I've heard you talk is relationship. How do we help each other win together? But then I want to focus in on these big clients. So 10 years at Nimbus, and then before that, just working with agencies, but not just any agencies, like agencies that work with these sites that cannot go down, that have to have the
Absolutely.
highest level of quality. But can you tell me more about a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So, across multiple businesses, we worked with some very, very large agencies. From the secure days, we were working with agencies who ran the McDonald's Monopoly game. So, they're getting millions of hits a second, quite literally, when people are trying to win these Monopoly games, and McDonald's launch it globally at the same time. And there we also hosted, or worked with lots of agencies. And one of the key ones that stands out to me is an agency who worked with Virgin. So basically, Virgin payments. So on the trains, on planes, and in lots of shops, Virgin have a payment system that cannot go down because ultimately, if they're capturing payments offline in the air or on trains when they don't have internet signal, then the assistants pick all that up. And they actually built and developed the entire system for them. Absolutely fantastic agency, and they did a lot of their marketing as well. And then if we look at our current clients at hosting.com, we have an incredible agency in the UK who actually make the websites and platforms for most of the artists currently in the top 10 globally in the charts. And if you can imagine some of those clients, if they release tickets to an event or a gig, there'll be millions of people, quite literally, in some cases, hundreds of millions of people hitting their website in 1 second. And we make sure that they succeed online. Those websites stay up. They have the best support backing them up for if they do run into any, not issues, but if they have questions in terms of like how best to set these environments up to support that level of traffic and that level of people hitting a site at one time. We're here to help.
See, I love that because I think I've had so many friends in just like you in the enterprise agency space, and I also go, if you can do it at that level, you know your stuff. For everyone downstream from that, including my website, which is at hosting.com. So, not that I'm worried mine's going to go down or it gets that kind of traffic, but you just go, if you can nail it at that level, then how agencies operate, how websites operate, and to do it at that high level.
Yeah, and I think a key thing to that is we look after all levels. So we work really closely with from everyone from a freelancer who's typically working alongside multiple agencies, and sort of working with them in all of their different environments, all the way up to these enterprise agencies. And I would say the majority of our customers sit somewhere in between. So we have a really strong presence with 10 to 20 person agencies where we can be that sort of additional resource to their team. So we really get to know them and their agency and their team. And we work so closely with their developers in terms of setting up the right environments. And then we work closely with their account managers and the owners in terms of how they should actually be recharging all those products and services back to their clients.
Rock on. Yeah, that goes back to what you said earlier, trusted advisor, trusted partner, and I love that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so over a decade, working with agencies with digital web marketing, things like that. Um, I'm curious, when you show up, I hear it as we've talked, you're so embedded in the community. You're not just out there helping the agency one-to-one necessarily in your team, but I know you're very involved in the community from agency hackers. You've been to WordPress meetups. I think what first week we met each other, you pinged me and go, I just walked into WordCamp London. So you're very involved in the agency community as well. Can you talk just a second about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think agencies have such a key role to play in the space of the internet. Not just from making great websites, but actually the content that we all see and the content we all take in. Every interaction we have online, I think, is better when it's been done by an agency. There's so many brands at the moment who are taking things in house, utilizing AI, and actually it just makes that content suffer, and they're losing the expertise of the agency. And all of it's not just expertise in one area. They have so many arms of expertise in an agency. And I love that. So I love being out and about. I love meeting agencies and understanding what they do, what projects they're working on. It's always so exciting. And then keeping up to date with what's going on in the agency world, and particularly the WordPress world as well. Open source, I think, is so key. And I think agencies play a big part in making sure that open source survives in the way it should do.
I mean, agencies are the ones out there truly. I've been a part of WordPress for about 20 years, I think now. But agencies are truly, when we talk about 40% of the internet, whatever WordPress has
Mm,
today, they're the ones doing it. They're the ones out there extending and
exactly.
expanding the web, the open web. And I love that. Okay, so as you just kind of take a step back on your career and particularly with agency works, what what draws you to agencies? Why do they matter to you? And you personally too, because you've been working with them for a long time.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think there's many different ways to answer that. But I think the key thing for me is that agencies are entrepreneurial, and every agency is run by a fantastic founder who's got a brilliant story behind them, and they're building something special, and they build out a brilliant team who then works on these projects. And every time you go and work with or speak with an agency, everyone is so different, and they're all so driven and so passionate about their work, which I think is really what draws me to wanting to continue working with agencies. They're just fantastic people.
I can hardly agree to that. Well, thank you for that. Anything else we mentioned before we start really diving into agencies, what we know, what we're seeing? Um, anything there?
So, in terms of what we know about agencies, we could touch on some of the problems that we are seeing that agencies are having currently, but also a lot of the successes that we're seeing. The biggest issue over the last 12 to 24 months for agencies has very much been winning new business. They've got a fantastic client base. We have seen that there's been a drop off in some clients, particularly the larger clients, where they are starting to build that in house marketing team. However, what we have seen through our clients and through the networking I do and the people I speak to, we've seen some of those big brands coming back, which is absolutely fantastic. I was speaking to an agency just yesterday, actually, and in January, they had their largest client who was over 60% of their revenue come back and say, hey, actually, we've got it wrong. Can we come back, please? And they've got the same relationship at the same cost and everything else that they had before. And we've seen that more and more often. However, we're still seeing them struggle to actually close new business. There seems to be more leads coming at the moment. There's that closing new business piece, which is tough in the market at the moment. And that's why we try and work with our agencies to ensure that they are profitable in reselling the services that we provide them. We are a true partner, not just a service. And we try and help them as well from a closing a deal perspective as well, wherever we can.
You're singing my song. That's as we've talked to agency owners or friends, new friends that we meet. That's the biggest thing. If you really push it down, and I've been an entrepreneur before, and I know the founder has this big responsibility on their plate, which is make money, keep everything going. And it's the number one thing when you really push down. What do you really need from your hosting partner is support with that kind of thing,
Yeah.
sales and marketing.
Yeah. Exactly, because I would say 4 out of every 5 agencies we speak to, particularly when they're under 10 people, they are very much founder-led sales. So every new client they win is coming from the founder being out and about networking, or is coming through referrals, and it's the founder that's doing the selling. And the hardest part in a sales process when you're on that journey is how do you change that into a repeatable process that other people can do? And then how do you scale that process so that you can grow as an agency if that's your goal? Whether it be to get an exit or whether you want to build a bigger business, that piece is often the hardest. So, we have a large sales and account management team who have been in sales for a long time. We have a lot of processes, and there's things we can help with there because typically that founder hasn't come from a sales background, and so we can help with that process side of things as well.
That's what I've seen too, Ollie. I'm so glad you named that. And this just shows again, I think, why we're trying to stay as close as we can to our agencies for what they're doing and help win. But I want to pull you back onto one of these again in the future to talk about sales because so
Mm,
many WordPress agency owners we talk to didn't start out in sales. they had some technical expertise, started doing stuff. People go, oh, I need what you're doing. That's my microsecond freelance story, by the way, too, is just learning web design. People going, will you do my blog? And then, so they get into these roles, become business owners, entrepreneurs, and go, oh gosh, everything's on me. I need to sell. And it's hard to release that. But you nailed it. One of the things we've heard too, over and over, is sales. And if I can, I think some people over time start to grow these boutique agencies you're talking about, that I think I call them, at least, and I think we do too, or think of them, but they get into these roles, end up being a business owner, might enjoy it and lean in, but they kind of seem like they find their area of specialty, but they're doing these other 10 things because they have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much working in the business rather than on the business. And I think that's the biggest blocker we see in agencies that are trying to get to that next step, is to have their founders working on the business, working on strategy, working on, a 3-year plan, and actually having the time to do that rather than being stuck in the day-to-day doing. And the selling piece of that is actually a very large part. So yeah, it's definitely something we can explore in a future video.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody, make sure you ping, subscribe, put a comment or something to say, bring Ollie back and let's talk sales, 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 because I've learned a lot from you too. I camp out more on the marketing side, which I think equally some struggle with, but it's an easier than, okay, I'm in
Yeah.
front of somebody and I'm talking to them either Zoom or in person.
Yeah. But I think they get the same problem with marketing, in that agencies who are typically expert marketers are notoriously bad at marketing themselves, because they don't want to put the time from their staff that are paid hours onto their own project, which is not paid hours. So it's always that hard piece of actually, how does an agency market themselves as well? Because I think the days are gone where there's easy leads through referrals. They're not happening so much anymore. And agencies have to focus on marketing and sales for themselves and not be scared of it.
Absolutely. Was you're talking about some of the client, for instance, that, pulled back 60% of revenue and then came back. It just seems like, in my experience, and I'm married to a marketing agency owner, as you well know. So I understand that it feels like it's cycles, highs and lows, oh, we got this great client. And then we wake up one day and we go, there's 60% of our revenue or whatever it might be. And then the season changes. They change their mind. But then, okay, we got to get through this trough because we know it's going to come back up. And one thing I know, talking to you over and over, is retainers and recurring revenue for all of these small businesses, boutique agencies. In the last couple of years, with the economic, just climate in the world, not even talking about COVID, is they really relied on that recurring revenue. And I know you talk to
100%.
them all the time. This is part of your jam too, but that saved their bacon.
Yeah. Yeah. The agencies who didn't have stable recurring income, they can't afford to lose a big client. And there's way too many agencies who do rely on 50, 60% of their revenue from one client. And if that client goes, what happens to the agency? So we really try and work with our clients to make sure they are offering retainers to their clients. And we particularly help out from the hosting perspective, because actually hosting is a service that an agency should be reselling. They should be reselling it profitably and having a really good markup. We've got clients who have 180, 200K turnover per year just from hosting. And that's just where they are reselling hosting into their clients. And we've helped them to split the number of sites on servers, what prices they should charge, and other services to include in a retainer, such as SEO, web maintenance, those side of things, that gives them that recurring revenue base to cover their costs. So instead of peak and troughs, we like to call it, rather than a roller coaster, it's a rocket, because you just get to keep going up. Because if you cover your recurring costs with recurring revenue from retainers, then all of those project wins are the bonus for the company that allows you to grow.
And by the way, Ollie, you lead a global team, truly, and you talk to agencies all over in different cultures. But it seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but when we started comparing notes on just Europe and UK type agencies, we're talking the same language. We might use a different word for it, but do you think some of these agency issues are cross-cultural global issues? And
Yeah.
can you share a little bit about that, what you've seen?
Yeah, completely. So my team is truly global. We cover all time zones. So our main bases is the UK, the US, and Australia. Through those 3 locations, we cover all time zones. I've also got staff members in Manila and in Bulgaria as well. So we are truly spanning the whole globe. And yeah, the conversations, I'll be honest, are almost 95% the same. So you have small regional issues that will be going on, typically some economic things, but actually the story of brands taking marketing in-house, brands thinking they can do everything in-house, sometimes going back out, sometimes not, and the struggle to win new clients. However, existing clients staying strong and being the source of revenue seems to be true. It seems to be true in every region. I had meetings with clients in Melbourne, Australia. I've met with clients in various locations across the US, all across Europe, and everyone has the same problem, which is they're struggling to get these new clients through the door. And if they have a lot of leads, they're taking longer to close. So it's about how can we change that cycle so they can win deals more quickly when they get them, but also how can they get more leads on the table as well. So we love to help from that point of view.
Yeah, and riding those cycles on the rocket ship.
Yeah, is that from roller coaster to rocket? We we love to call it that. I've done a few talks of that title, because it's how do you get away from those peaks and troughs, and how do you get to a stable baseline of revenue that covers all your costs, cover your wages, and then your project work is truly something you can really focus on and not be worried about trying to win the next one.
That's awesome. Well, now I want to talk a little bit about, I wanted to share some of that and ask you those questions to show how much you do know. And I learned a lot too, by the way, just hearing that. But let's talk about how you lead your team and what we're trying to do really for agencies that are out there. We talked about all of this, how your team's set up, how you orient them to truly serve and support that agency in their success.
Yeah, so we have an account management team set up globally. So they're based in various locations in the UK, based in the US, and based in Australia. Some of the people, agencies I'm sure will know already, like Mike Demo or Liam in London. And these people are ultimately there to become a true trusted advisor to an agency. So we have an account manager for all of our agency clients. That account manager is not just there to try and sell you things. They're not just there to say, hey, come buy this new shiny product we've got, but they're actually there to understand your business, understand where and how hosting fits into that business. Because more often than not, agencies are just passing a cost on. So, hey, this is costing us $100, £100. We're just going to pass that cost to our client. And actually, no, because there's a lot of value that the agency is giving to the service they're providing, even though it's a service from us. They are the one the client will phone if something goes wrong. So we really take the time to understand how that all slots into a client's business, and how it fits into the agency. And then we understand a bit more about their retainer side of things. So are they offering retainers currently? What's included? What is it they're doing? Where are they spending their time? Where is their revenue coming from? And then we help them build out a new retainer package so we can ensure that they are maximizing the profit they can make from not just from a hosting point of view, but it is predominantly from a hosting point of view in terms of building this new revenue stream that they perhaps haven't realized yet within their agency. Agencies have hundreds of clients, and they should be charging a set monthly fee to those clients to provide these services. And there's lots of clever ways they can go about doing that to ensure profitability, offer various patches and that sort of things. That's predominantly what our account managers do. And they also do onboard new agencies for us as well. So they're building up new relationships with agencies and finding areas where we may be able to help. Because obviously we don't want to onboard an agency if we don't think we're going to be able to help them. We want to make sure that there is a problem we can solve for them, we can help them in some way, and then we'll onboard them as a new client.
And that goes back to what you said, trusted advisor, trusted partner. And I love it because I know Mike Demo, I know Liam, they're awesome. They know the tech, they know the products, they know agency work and can help actually, get them on the right platform. But there's one thing you said in there, which is a person to call. And I just did a call with an agency owner last week, and it just, time and time again, almost every agency owner I talk to, I need to know when things break down and we have a problem. There's a human that I know their name on the other side, just in case. They do all their support work. They do their Googling, they do their troubleshooting. When they get to support, they actually need to talk to someone that knows what they're doing on the other side. And I really see that in your team and Mike and Liam for sure. And you, just being that other human on the other side is so important.
Yeah. And I think that comes into more parts than just account management. We have an absolutely fantastic global support team, of which we have a VIP team specifically to look after our large clients and agencies. So they are super technical and able to help with everything, but the account manager is always there. So the account manager is always at the end of the phone. They can be called, they can be emailed, you can send them a text. There's so many ways to get in touch with your account manager who can jump in and solve problems for you. That might be that actually, hey, you've had a huge amount of traffic to your website and you need some extra resources. Great, they can come and help you. But it might also be that you've got a new client coming on board with an unusual setup or an unusual website, and you can give them a call and they can sit down with you and go through, actually, this is what we recommend is the best package for this. Or you may have a client where an agency is trying to sell in a retainer package or a hosting package to that client. And actually, at least once a week, we're going into these calls with our clients where we'll go and sit in that pitch with them. And we'll be there just to have that extra piece of assurance of, hey, look, we know what we're doing about hosting. We can help you here. So it's like assisting the agency in that pitch to that client as well.
See, that's showing up as a partner. And we know these business owners and entrepreneurs, they're trying to do everything themselves mostly and don't have a roots background like you in sales or marketing. And to have a partner at their hosting company, I think is absolutely key. When you're talking about all this, and I think I've said a couple of times, like, I want to be onboarded next. I want to be trained in the system because I love the system that you've shared with me and others. But when you're doing that with your account managers, what's really our aim? What do you tell them? Okay, we've got this partner here. What are those key values, whatever they are, that you really try to emphasize with your account managers and your team about how we show up as partners?
Yeah, I think partner is the key word, right? We're not just a hosting provider. We don't just want to be someone that they pay a bill for some server space and that's the end of it, right? We hear from them when they raise a support ticket. That's not our focus. Our focus is to be a true partner and build a relationship with our clients. And relationship and partner are the keywords we use throughout all of our training and onboarding for account managers, because they are there to build a relationship with the agency, to understand that agency and help the agency. Their key goal as an account manager is to ensure that client is happy, because ultimately a happy client is a client who's going to stay and hopefully grow with us as well, because agencies are continuously growing. So it benefits us if an agency stays and grows because they grow with us and they'll purchase more hosting with us. So the key thing for us is to ensure that that agency is happy first and foremost. And that's through relationship building. That's through understanding their business, understanding the problems that they face. And that's not just the problems they face with making a new WordPress site. It's understanding the problems they face in their business, be it hiring staff, be it whatever it is. Because we're talking to so many agencies and we live and breathe the agency world, there's often some advice or information we can share with our clients as well to help with that. But that's the key focus for us. It's not about, hey, you're here to go and sell these products to this client. It's about, you're here to look after and build a relationship with a client. And that's very much our first focus.
Ollie, thank you for that. I'm curious, I know Mike Demo and I know Liam, and they're technical. They know the thing. Maybe they didn't, I actually don't know. Maybe they didn't actually manage service like you have in the past, but highly technical. I can talk enough to go, I get your business needs. I get what you're trying to get in your life. Now, here's the expert that actually knows the difference between PHP, whatever version and the next. But as I say that, what kind of things do you look for in those account managers?
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually, because typically if we're hiring an account manager, that tend to not be coming out of hosting, because account management isn't something that all hosting companies offer. So we're typically getting people in to train them. So what I'm actually looking for is someone who is experienced in relationship building, experienced in building out these long-term partnerships with people. And to understand the technical side, they don't have to be super technical and into computers, but I'm looking for geeky. So if someone's geeky, I mean, you can tell from my t-shirt, I am a geeky person. And so I look for geeky, and that doesn't mean that they have to be into Star Wars or they have to be into Harry Potter. They could be into football. They could be into gardening, but they have to be into it at a geeky level. So can you tell me when you should be planting this flower, how long it takes to germinate, what the exact process is, what the hydration should be? If you're geeky on that level where you're picking up that level of information, fantastic. I can teach you hosting. And then I know that when they're on board, they're going to pick up this information and they're going to learn this information because they've got that geeky mindset to really study something. And it's the same with football. If they could tell me who won an FA Cup final from 15 years ago and who scored the goal and who got a yellow card, you're geeky. And therefore you can learn these things and you're going to pick it up.
I love that. Well, I see it. I see it for sure. And that's so cool. Well, okay. So we've talked about your team, we talked about your background, and now really want to talk about what things we know agencies need when they're trying to move and become a partner. We talked, but I want, if you could just share a couple of those things, like the things we do for a new agency partner that to help them, because we just know this and we're going to acknowledge it, or I will, is that, when you're moving website, it's just not fun. It's not making money. Hopefully it's saving money, but better performance, whatever, getting a better product. But I even said it's like someone told me, an agency owner, it's like the frustrating thing you don't want to think about, is moving. So I know we try to make that process easier along the way, from sourcing, what sites they have, what needs they have. But could you talk through that? What kind of things we do for those agency partners coming in?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, definitely acknowledge the pain. It's not a simple process, right? So we like to talk about migrations are made easy because we do it, and they are, and we'll come on to that side of it. But we understand, an agency who has 500 websites potentially has 500 customers they need to contact as part of the migration. We understand the difficulty of that, and we understand the time of putting a developer on some of those migrations as well can have to the agency. So we get that. And because of that, we want to make sure that onboarding is as smooth as and easy as possible. So when an agency onboards to us, their account manager would have onboarded them through the choosing the right products, getting the right infrastructure, that side of things. They will then introduce them to our migrations team, and they'll have it could be a chat and a ticket, it could be a video call, depending on the size of the migration and what the client would like. But we'll have a meeting to discuss the migration, and we'll plan out the migration, often in steps. If you have 500 websites, you don't want to suddenly go, you're there now. So we'll plan that out, and we'll typically do 10 sites at a time. So we can move those sites across, we can test them, we can make sure that they're working as they should on our new infrastructure. The client will then do the same. So they can make sure that everything's working as it should before we go in and update where the domain points to via the DNS to move it to us. But the key part of that is that it's fully managed by us. So the account manager is keeping an eye on the migration throughout, is there for any questions. The member of staff in our migrations team who's handling that migration for the agency is there throughout to ask any questions. And we will make sure that it's scheduled in at times that suits the client. This is the benefit of being a global customer. If their clients are online during the daytime in US, fantastic. We could flip the site in the morning in the UK time so that it doesn't have any effect to the main client base. But a key thing to know of all our migrations as well is there isn't any downtime when you have a migration. The site remains live at all times. You don't get any downtime. We just have a small content freeze period where we'll say, hey, for this 3-hour period, please don't update your blog, or please don't update the colors on the website because the changes won't copy across. But on the whole, it's a super easy and smooth process. Yes, it takes a bit of time, but it's really, really smooth. You get no downtime, and you have a single point of contact of your account manager throughout the whole process.
That's fantastic. And again, a person, a human on the other side that's going to help shepherd the whole thing over.
Correct.
And I know we're still formulating some of these things, but I know your team is out there doing it today. So, I know priority support or some level of, I don't want to just get in entry level. I've already done my research. I've already tried to troubleshoot it. It's got to be something I don't know about on your end. I need some help with that. How does that all work with our agency partners?
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting, we have worked with agencies for so many years. We understand the agency's built the website. It's not an end user who's thrown together a basic WordPress site and doesn't really know what they're doing. The agencies are technical. Agencies have developers who have already gone in and tried the basics. They've already looked at all the simple things. And when they come through to us, they're not looking for hey, have you tried this? They're looking for a technical response where we'll go and look at what the problem they're experiencing is, diagnose what's going on, and solve it, or come back with the answer for them. And so when agencies get support for us, all of our agencies, we see them as VIP clients. And they shouldn't be going through to our first line support. They should be going through to our VIP support team, and therefore getting that true level of technical support. The key thing with that team is it's not just about technical support. It's also down to the level of response and level of responsibility they take to your problem. So they are truly there to solve your problem and ensure it's dealt with properly, and not just give a quick answer to move on to the next client. They have the time to make sure you're looked after properly. And that's a key part of that support team. And the final piece to all of that is you have your account manager the whole time. So when you come through to our support team, you have problems, the account manager is always there as well to assist with anything you may need. And if you need to, oftentimes agencies are out and about, they might be pitching a new client, they might be an event. I get WhatsApped. I had a WhatsApp this morning where someone's like, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't raise a ticket. I'm on a train just heading to this client pitch. I've got this issue, can you solve it for me? And I went and raised the ticket, and I dealt with support and got it resolved for them. So there's always that there for agencies as well.
It's fantastic. And of course, the process we already kind of talked about this is the account manager and your team also goes, okay, you've got these sites. Some of these are high intensive priorities. Some of these, putting them on the right, suggesting the right plans, the back and forth that goes about what about this? What about that? There's a nuanced setups all the time that require that. And that's what that account manager is there for, right?
Exactly, because the key thing for an agency with that hosting is you want it to perform the best that it can possibly perform for your client, but within the right budget. Because the whole point of this is it needs to work, but the agency also needs to make money from it. So we work with agencies and say, hey, you've got this many clients, you put them here, but these ones are slightly special, and we tend to just call it bronze, silver, gold. Keep it super simple. So you've got your bronze tier clients, or your basic clients, basic websites, they only need basic hosting. You can put all of those together on one server. But you've got your more premium clients who are paying you a bit more, paying you for maintenance, all these other things. You don't want the client that's paying you to go and update their WordPress version and update their plugins and do maintenance on their site to be sat on the server of all the clients who are not paying for that, and therefore their sites aren't updated. You have those in a separate setup, and we can help with the number of clients per server and that side of things, depending on the sites. And then you have your gold tier clients or your platinum clients, where they are 40% of your agency's revenue, and you want to make sure they're on the right setup as well. And obviously there's nuance to all of that as well, where it depends on clients' traffic and the types of websites, the applications they're built in, all of that side of things with CMS. There's a lot more that comes into it than that basics, but we go to that level with all of our clients. So it's not just, hey, that's a WordPress site, it should be on this server. Hey, that's a Magento site, it needs to be on this server. It's actually, how much traffic are they getting? How much do you charge them per month? How much money are you making from this client? How valuable are they to you? Do they keep the updates on? Yes, no. Are they paying for maintenance? All of these things get factored in when we help agencies to build out their packages and make sure that they are making profit from hosting.
Excellent. Well, the process to become a partner. How does someone become a partner?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to our landing page, which is hosting.com/agency, and you have all the information in there. For agencies, what we don't want to do is to say, hey, buy this product. Because as we talked about there's so many nuances to say, we want you to have the right setup, that's the right price, so you're not overpaying, and it's a transparent price, so you know exactly how much you're paying each month. Because the key thing for an agency is you're recharging that to your client. And you might have signed a 12-month contract. You want to make sure you know that price. So it's very transparent pricing and predictable pricing. And we need to make sure you're set up in the right way for profit. So therefore, with agencies, we make sure we have a meeting with you so that we can properly talk through your needs, talk through your setup, talk through your clients, and ensure you get not just the best package and setup, but the best pricing as well. So when you go to that page, you'll find contact forms and information on how to get in touch with the team.
Talk to a human. So you'll be
Talk to a human.
back,
Exactly.
talk to a human, and it's not going to be a sales call. It's going to be a let's talk about what's going
Yeah.
on, what you need, and
Yeah.
it's a conversation.
Exactly. We're not just there to pick up the phone and say, hey, you need to buy this package. We're there to understand the business, understand why you're looking for a new hosting provider. There'll be a reason why. And make sure you don't fall down the same pitfalls again as to why you're moving providers. Or if you've seen something interesting through our agency coaching or the other things that we're doing, you've met us at an event, and you just like what we're doing and want to come to us for that reason, it's the same process where you want to understand the why. Why did your business do what it does? How does it work? How are your clients hosted currently? What do you do for them to truly customize the setup for you? And that ultimately means that you get the best value and pay the best price for the setup because you get exactly what you need.
It's great. And that's back to the trusted partner, trusted advisor, and helping you go far and be successful. Well, Ollie, thanks so much. I just wanted to, as we kind of wrap down, I know you, others of our will be probably at the time of this recording at WordCamp Europe. I know we're doing all kinds of stuff. We're working closely together on events to show up for our agency community and agency partners at different events. But can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are global WordCamp sponsors. So you'll see us at many WordCamps around the world. Yes, super proud to be part of this community that we're also passionate about. So it's fantastic. And we also have lots of local events. So if you're in the UK, we go to every Agency Hackers event. We go to every WordPress London meetup. That's the last Thursday of every month. Agency Hackers, check them out. There's an amazing group of people in the UK. And then in the US, we attend a lot. So most events you go to, hopefully you'll bump into Cory or Aaron or Mike Demo. And yeah, we're looking to be doing more as well. So we're going to be starting some of our own lunches and things that you can look out for. So check our social media, give us a follow on there because you'll see some announcements about some fantastic things we have planned over the next 12 months.
And I know your involvement in Agency Hackers and your support of it, which we're a sponsor of, is so critical because they're those mastermind groups where peers of entrepreneurs can talk, business owners, agency owners talk. And as we've been talking, we're okay, this is why we're on the same page because so much happens from those. And I know that's why you're passionate about agency hackers and venues like that. And then we want to do that for our agency partners as well. As you were kind of mentioning lunches, we've been talking about these things where we
Yeah,
get to you.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with the lunches is that's not about trying to replicate what agency hackers or someone like that's doing. They're building a fantastic support network for agencies that you can come and learn how to solve your problems. It's amazing. Um, what we want to do is create a forum where, in a smaller setting, agencies can connect with each other. You can share your problems. It might be a HR problem. It might be, you're looking for a new CRM system. You're starting to get to the size where actually you need to implement a CRM system. Whatever things agencies want to be talking about, you'll be in a room with your peers and you can network and discuss these things. And we'll try and steer the conversation a little bit to ensure everyone gets value out of them. But yeah, we're looking to do lunches across the US and the UK. I'm really excited to be getting that going.
Me too. So stay tuned to this. And I wanted to say, I know I can speak for you, Ollie, but we're always listening. So as you're hearing this and something stands out, or you think there's something we didn't capture, we're always listening. Hit us up at hosting.com. And you can go to the hosting.com/agency page and tell us, put it in a comment in this video or whatever. I know Ollie and I and the rest of our team at hosting.com are always comparing notes. Here's what we're hearing here. Does it sync with what we're hearing there? And go, okay, this is something we need to be thinking about and doing. But I like to say we're listeners first and understanding your journey and where you want to go and help you get there. So Ollie, great conversation. Thank you so much. Any final thoughts that you have about our agency partners?
I just think, agencies are fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing, but we're here for a chat. And that doesn't mean you have to be in the market for some new hosting. But if you just want to talk agency, you want to talk retainers, talk profit, we're here for a conversation. Doesn't mean that you're suddenly going to be sold to on the call. If you just want to have a chat, get in touch.
Olly Feldman, hosting.com, our global head of sales. Thank you so much for being on our YouTube show today. And for those agency partners or people out there, agency owners looking for this, we're here for you. I wanted you to hear from the
Absolutely.
human leading it. And I love it because I've got a great partner. I get to meet a lot of agency owners, and then I get to introduce them to your team, Ollie, and I know they're going to get taken care of. So
Yeah.
thanks so much, everybody. And thank you, Ollie, for being on the show.
Thank you.